I've been searching for a man all across Japan just to find my samurai. Someone who is strong, but still a little shy. Yes, I need my samurai. In this week's episode of Cartoon Buffoons, I'm your host, Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm one of the Scotsman's daughters from his first marriage.
And who is here as our very special guest for today's episode?
Hi, I'm Lava. I guess a friend of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm one of Wyatt's
KKO
mutuals
podcast.
on Twitter.
Yeah. You get to see me psychotically post about Metroid Prime 4.
Yes.
Actually, not so much anymore because the trailer.
Big W for you, Wyatt. Very happy.
Yeah.
And also happy to see the psychotic post less.
Yeah.
Well, you've been celebrating this release.
Yeah.
You've been celebrating this release. Like, this is like your 20th anniversary. Everyone keeps saying congratulations to you.
Yeah, congratulations for a trailer for a video game that came out. But anyway, we're here to talk about Samurai Jack, Suck on My Sack, all that good stuff. He's going to take you back to the past. We're going to play those shitty games that suck ass.
Motherfucker, stop doing that
We're
bit.
gonna
I'm
do
tired
We're
of
gonna
it.
do it. So, Lava, you're a guest. And
Yes.
you
Yes, you
requested to be on this episode.
I did.
And I obliged because, I was like, there are probably a bunch of other famous celebrities that are like, oh, Wyatt, need to be on that Samurai Jack episode. But beatifically, I was like, no.
We love nepotism over here. We love friendship-based nepotism over here.
Yeah.
We had to tell Genndy Tartakovsky to fuck off, actually.
Yeah. He kept on trying to DM me. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Get off. But
I don't care about Hotel Transylvania. Leave me alone.
But okay, but when the vampire girl becomes a mom, that is
All right.
Okay.
Let's keep moving forward. Lava, what's your history of Samurai Jack? I'm just moving on.
Yeah. So, I never watched Samurai Jack when I was a kid, because I didn't have cable when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get into Cartoon Network until, I guess I'd see it when I would go to friends' houses and grandparents' houses, but
Same.
I didn't really get into Cartoon Network because until the internet, and I would just go to the Cartoon Network website and watch the shows there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I first started watching Samurai Jack right before I started college. And I saw the Jack and the Zombies episode, and I was like, I want to be a storyboard artist.
Yeah.
So that episode is very, very special to me.
Yeah. And this show, we can talk about it when we're deeper into it, but it is this is an artist's this is a wet dream, basically, of an art, because it is almost purely storyboard.
Yeah.
Just cool or weird or funny shit happening, just people playing in a playground. Honestly, I'm really shocked going back to watch the show that the show was allowed to exist for children in 2001.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's so ahead of its time. It's so ahead of its time that they wouldn't do this
now.
Absolutely would not do this now for children. But do you have any other anecdotes about your history or no?
Well, I've become a very big Genndy Tartakovsky head. But I think the first Genndy show I watched was Clone Wars. And then when I was in high school, I watched Symbionic Titan, which is my favorite. And I think from then on, I sort of dived into a lot of his work. And yeah, I've made a whole video on my YouTube channel that's a deep dive into how Genndy Tartakovsky evolved. I do have some different opinions now than in that video, but yeah.
I would like to talk because there are some. I feel like we can talk about a little bit on the season 5 Samurai
Yeah.
Jack and then like Primal
Just
and
a
stuff.
touch.
Just because we won't be like we probably will talk about them at some point. You know, these like things, but in general, we're not like too focused on like Adult Swim stuff. It's mostly just the main.
It is Cartoon Network that we're focusing on.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, a big shout out to you know, with Symbiotic Titan, the scene in that Craig of the Creek episode where
Oh yeah,
the,
do you
the
remember
emotional
Symbiotic
climax?
Titan?
Yeah, the emotional climax of the episode is like the elders, you know, Barry and Mark being like, "You remember that show Symbiotic Titan, dude? I'll never forget Symbiotic Titan."
They were right.
I do think, yeah. Maybe at some point we'll just do a Genndy special. You know, Wyatt? We'll just talk about all the other stuff. Primal and Symbiotic Titan and Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we'll talk about Adam Sandler. Yeah. We're going, you know, 8 Crazy Nights. You know.
no, Wyatt goes on a big rant about MILFs, and I have to like get the tranquilizer gun out.
Yeah,
shoot you
I'll
with
help
the
you
dart
hold
in
it
the neck.
steady.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
It'll be like that scene in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like you know, we'll talk about it more when we get to like the Clone Wars. I mean, we had to do both Clone Wars shows. I am not looking forward to watching the CGI Clone Wars show.
Yeah. I say this as a fan of the CGI Clone Wars show. It's just so much.
It's just too.
It's a
fucking
lot.
long.
It's good.
It's like way too. I was like,
I can't remember it. It ended, and people said, "Oh man, I need more," and I'm like, "Are you high?"
not more. And they gave in more.
Watch Star Wars Rebels if you want more. Watch Bad Batch if you want more.
Yeah.
What gets me is that it's a good show. That's too much of it. You know, it's like eating delicious fettuccine, but I got like a huge pot I have to finish. And like, no,
Filoni
leave me
fettuccine.
alone.
I do really like Rebels because it has that like, I don't know, it feels like a 90s cartoon. It has like that scrappy,
It does,
like
yeah.
the team of quirky characters and that kind of vibe, and they're getting up to antics. Like, big thumbs up.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say that like I wasn't like as a kid. I know I'm a white male, but I was not into Star Wars as a child, so this is shocking to a lot of people. So I just didn't really pay attention to the Clone Wars. So Samurai Jack was, you know, like that was probably my first big exposure to Genndy, like knowing him instead of just like being like, oh, Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls kind of look similar to one another, you know, like, but being a kid and not really like knowing, but then like, you know, Cartoon Network would do a lot of things like commercials and stuff where they would have Genndy be like, hey, it's me, I'm drawing Samurai Jack today, or like Craig McCracken being like, here's how you draw Wilt and things like that, you know. So that's how I learned about like, oh, there are like people that are like in charge of a show and like direct the style, you know, of the show. But Morgan, I want to know, what is your history with the Samurai Jack?
My history with Samurai Jack is, shout out Randy, which is my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Randy is a very important person to me, besides giving birth to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's like, I was one of those people like grew up like, wasn't a daddy's girl. I was just around my mom all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has cartoons that she like had blacklisted and whitelisted, where like she would watch them with me, and there's cartoons she would say, "Don't put this on if I'm in the room with me because it's fucking annoying." Some annoying ones just off the top, so we notice. One Piece, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Camp Laszlo. Those are just some. I don't agree with her opinions. Opinions of Randy do not reflect opinions of Cartoon Buffoons. But one of the whitelisted ones was Samurai Jack. My mom was so into the visuals of this. Even though I don't think she got it, she just loved the way this cartoon looked. And it's one of my biggest moments is I remember watching the I think it might have been one of the early. I think it might have been the first. This might be the first episode. It was the one with the big elephant things getting bullied by the little blue guys with the spears. And I remember watching that with my mom vividly. It's like one of my very big formative moments with cartoons.
Yeah.
And I like it was just. There's not a lot of stuff like Samurai Jack, even at the time and even now. It's just so interesting for a cartoon that breathes, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember being a kid and like, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, it's also like, people who only kind of half remember Samurai Jack, this show is way weirder than
Yeah.
than you remember it. Than all the action scenes. There's like a bunch of other stuff beside the action scenes that we'll talk about, but continue.
And the show, like, rough is the weirdness, but like, yeah, it's a show that also breathes in a way that I don't think is rare. Like, there's moments where, like, and I know everyone jokes about, like, how there's episodes where, like, no one says anything in Samurai Jack, and there is. And, like, think about how weird that is. Think about, like, I'm sitting in a room as a child watching a cartoon with minimal sound effects or speaking.
Yeah.
It's just music. It's like, and I think, like, that's good. It really, like, it absorbs you into what you are seeing and the art of it, you know? Like, I wouldn't be surprised this is, like, a lot of people's first, like, big steps into artistry and directing and storyboards. Like, and I remember seeing it, and I didn't start drawing until fairly recently, like a few years back. But I remember going, I want to draw in the shapes that make up Aku or Samurai Jack. I remember vividly thinking about that seeing the show. And I don't know. It's a show that, like, I think makes everyone more creative the more you see it. Like, rewatching it now, I'm just like, wow, a lot of my sensibilities about villains and what villains can be like. And, like, I feel like a lot of stuff about, like, how villains can be multifaceted but still pure evil, I got from this show.
Yes, I love that. That, to me, like, that's sort of the, like, my favorite type of villain is one that is, like completely wrong and evil, but they're like, you kind of like them because they're like weird, funny
like,
guys. Like, you know, like that's what I don't need them to be sympathetic. I just want them to be like entertaining, you know? So like that's my, like, I don't mind a sympathetic villain. It's just people are obsessed with sympathetic villains or like redemption arcs and things like that. And I feel like somebody like Aku is so good because, I mean, his name is literally evil, like his Aku in Japanese. But, like, you know, even beyond that, he's just like, yeah, he's a demon sorcerer. He's a shapeshifter. He does all this, like, cartoonishly evil stuff. You know, he's just like a complete ruler. I love that evil, like, when Samurai Jack, I don't know why I called him that, his full legal name, but when he gets first gets to the future, it's like a Blade Runner, like, shithole, like, capitalist hellscape.
Yes.
You know, so it's like it just shows that, like, oh, the ultimate goal of these evil dictators is to become like a Coke mascot, you know.
Like, I think the reason why Aku is so good, I guess we're just pivoting into the show now.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes Aku so good is that, like, he is evil, but he's not like destroy the world or like even world domination evil. He's like suffering evil, and there's something so deeply funny that, like, his idea of suffering a lot of the time is labor and working a 9-to-5 job in his shitty smog-filled city. And I'm like, God, that's so good. But also, he's a guy. He, like, has to take phone calls and
I'd like to order a pizza.
Yes, like, the fact that he does all this, we're like, dude, you rule the world. You can make it so they just bring you pizzas, but, like, no. I'm a guy. I think it's funny that I have to be a guy, and I'm like, he's just the best. He's the best villain.
There's the episode that I have as our picture for the group chat where it's like he literally, like, okay, here's these children, they're playing Samurai Jack versus Aku, you know, on the playground. And he's so upset by it. Instead of, like, commanding and, like, using his powers to force them to obey him, his goal is to just gather the children around his chair and tell them, like, bedtime stories until they
like him.
Yeah, until they like it. And he never succeeds the entire time. He just keeps telling shitty stories, and the children are, like, poking holes in it and, like, you know, being like,
he could have just killed them.
Yeah,
we see him kill kids later at different points, but he's just like, nah, this one's personal. I cannot let this go.
Yeah,
he's so funny.
He's so petty.
He's like the ultimate force of evil, but he has enough humanity injected in him, but just like the worst parts of humanity.
Yeah,
in like a way that's like not always cartoonishly evil. It's, man, I don't know. I like, to this day, I think about all the villains I like from like Sentai or TV shows or movies, and they're all kind of like this.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's nothing's better than like a big evil mastermind who's beating your ass, right? Who also is like, oh shit, I left my car keys in the car. I'll be right back. I think that's like the best like balance you could find.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we kind of got right into talking about Aku and the show and everything. But just like take a step back and recenter us. I do want to say that the show, the show has a lot of differences in tone. Like, it's very similar to Courage, which we talked about a few episodes ago.
Yes, very similar, yeah.
Where it's like, it can be really cool, like action. It can be very serious or emotionally driven, but it can be very goofy. It can be very weird. It can have like these elements. It's just a very strange show altogether. Like, holistically, it's so strange that it got made. And I think like nowadays, if a show like this got released, people would be very upset that it's like,
shifts.
Yeah, that like, oh, this show is so cool and hype when he's just like cutting down robots, but as soon as these like goofy Hanna-Barbera like dog characters or whatever like show up, like then it becomes cringe, because I see this with adults, human beings who watch children's shows and get mad whenever they're reminded that they're watching a children's show.
What the fuck? This is a cartoon. I don't want to watch a cartoon.
This is so lame.
Yeah. I want a serious lore-heavy show. And then their frame of reference for that is like Game of Thrones, and it's like
which they also refuse to watch. But they also refuse to watch. Like they're like this. This should be more like Game of Thrones. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones? No, but I just think that I want my children's media to be made for me. I'm 34.
Yeah,
and I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah. But I think I wanted to like throw it to you, Lava, and ask, like, we did this like when we were talking about Courage, but this is a show that is very, very episodic, very like every episode kind of gives you something new. What were like some of the standout episodes that you went and watched?
Very curious about that.
I think the episodes I mostly watched were the ones that I sent you in that DM earlier, which was Jack and the Zombies, of course. That's what I ended my run with. And X-49, really good one. I also watched like the origin story, Birth of Evil. I watched Couple on a Train.
That was probably one of the first episodes I saw. Was the the Birth of Evil. So like to the point where I thought, that was like the first episode of the show, but this is because I've talked about it
was the
before,
prequel.
Like, I didn't have exactly. I didn't have cable until like 2003 or whatever. So like at that point it was and that episode is just like, oh, it's everything I love. It's like, oh, all religions and mythology is real.
Are correct.
There's Odin and Rama and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. So
I also watched.
Cool episode.
Yeah, I also watched Jack and the Lava Monster, which ended up being a lot better than I remembered.
Yeah,
and I also
you had to do it for brand recognition.
Yeah,
reasons.
brand recognition.
That one was like real. Like I that one's so good. Like I remember it was one of the ones I just kind of snuck in there. I'm like, man, this is like. I think like speaking of Jack and the Lava Monster and also the Couple episode, I think one of the things about Samurai Jack that always stands out to me in watching all these episodes, like these specific ones, is some of the best guy design on Earth.
Yeah.
Like like we gotta make a character / monster of the week. Yeah. And the thing is, none of these dudes overlap usually. Yeah. Like, I don't know how they didn't run out of like design aesthetic stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I have Samurai Jack. Like I said, it is just like a playground because they really can go for any aesthetic or style or whatever because it's so far in the future and it's so like
it's a show where anything can happen and I love that about
it. Like any setting, any biome, any character design. Like I like going from the Lava Monster to like X-49 designs. And like then to like
X-49 has the coolest voice. I wish I had like a robot filter over my voice.
He could get a spin-off.
Yeah.
I truly would watch 12 episodes about this hard-boiled, sad assassin robot and his dog. I would watch it. I also
it's like
think
a reverse John Wick.
Yeah.
It is. It's very much. I also think it's a bummer that, like, spoiler, everybody, watch this show. Didn't see the ending on that one coming. I thought, like, it's a kid's cartoon. Jack will do. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's a true sad vintage noir.
Yeah, that's like the vibe. So it had to end badly. I don't know. I'm just like looking at it. Like, I remember like seeing the Clenches designs and like the Western aesthetic and like the planet of Samurai Jack feels ginormous.
Yeah.
But our planet in real life is also big as shit. So it's like what could happen is real. So like I guess thousands of years in the future, of course you're having a country place that has some hyper like high tech stuff, and then you have like a swamp biome, and then a ice place where people like live in trains, or like a gnome. It's the coolest. It's the coolest.
Yeah.
Like this world feels bizarre, but it rules the entire time.
Yeah, I also like that in like about the world, like that it begins very normal. Like it begins like in the first episode, it is just like a very grounded world. Like obviously there's fantasy elements to it with like a giant demon guy showing up, but like the fact that Jack goes on like a quest across the world, like across all of Eurasia, and
he becomes
everything.
a Renaissance man.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love that, like him going to like Africa and Egypt and all these places like to train and become a warrior. That is just like a really cool way to start the series, and then like to immediately throw him again into like this ridiculous like Blade Runner stupid future world with like these cartoon characters and like
aliens.
Kevin Michael Richardson and everything. And all the Star Wars aliens and everything. It makes sense that he would do Star Wars because like before it was a serious dark lore series, it was a dumb cartoon. Like that, just in case people who are Star Wars fans don't remember this, Star Wars was a dumb cartoon once. It was a fun movie series.
It was a show about space wizards for children.
Yeah. So I know it's crazy to think about with the fucking Andor and the Acolyte.
I do fucking love
but,
Andor though.
Yeah. Look, I'm not criticizing them taking a darker twist on it, but the fact that so many people they look at like The Last Jedi and like Canto Bight or whatever, and they're like, this is ridiculous. Anyway, Phantom Menace is peak.
Dude, like, this is so silly. Show me the little green puppet that keeps making noise and saying nonsense.
By Frank Oz from the Muppets.
Like I don't know, it's so funny. But like I think that like Samurai Jack never loses that goofiness.
Yeah.
Like I think a perfect example of that is that the last episode of the first like the original series is about Jack taking care of a baby, and the baby's infected by the samurai spirit at the end of the episode. I think that's perfectly sums up that like, hey, yeah, guys, this is a silly little cartoon. You're never going to escape it.
Because like it makes sense on a like serious thematic level, but it is just such a funny image of like, oh, this baby, like he's marked for the rest of his life. Because the idea is supposed to be like, oh, if Jack fails, this baby will eventually rise, and become a warrior. I want to like there are so many good like I won't say gimmicky episodes, but episodes that are just like
style, like a style.
Such a good there's like Jack and the Ninja, and then
the Ninja episode. I watched that one too. So good.
Jack. Wait, you can't just keep going. Hold on, sorry, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jack and the Ninja visually is crazy.
Yeah.
So I was talking about this with my partner when I was watching it. I think Samurai Jack does something that cartoons now and animation across the board doesn't do enough. Samurai Jack takes advantage of being 2D in a way a lot of cartoons fear. I think as an artist, you fear feeling flat a lot, right?
Yeah.
If your art looks flat, you fear it. There is episodes where the choreography and directing of Samurai Jack fully embraces being flat. And I think Jack and the Ninja is a great one where like it feels like they're like like, oh man, this is like draw like two like figures on a piece of paper, and like the episode, like, no, that's good. It's good that it feels that way. It's almost like a 2D fighting game, like Street Fighter, in the way they animate them just moving back and forward, and they do a lot of fight scenes like that. And I think they look more interesting actually than you would assume, because it makes you focus on this very specific plane of existence of where they're working, that it really makes it so you absorb all the information better, and it's probably a lot easier animation and drawing wise to get all the movement going.
That being
on
said,
that plane.
it's
I was about to bring that up.
Like, I don't understand. Like, you look at the character design, it's like, I don't understand how this is as good as it. Like, you look at it, it's like kind of mind bending how good.
Yeah.
Like like you look at Aku and he seems so simple, but then like you look at how strong his pose and silhouette and everything is, and it's like, oh, he's not just like a tower of darkness. He's like a real constructed character. And especially like when he like points at something or whatever, like you see his hands. You know, it's like, my God, I could just like pause this and look at it all day. And like wonder like, how did they do this? How did they like get it to look this good? Yeah,
I think this is the upside of like getting real hard ass artists to have every part of the show, because they make these character designs strong and simple, and it lets them do the craziest shit on earth. I was like literally watching this, I was like, man, I have to bring back my character design.
Yeah,
because it lets them animate this in all types of ways. Like I don't know if this is on purpose. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen the radioactive waste architecture?
No.
Okay, so there's the thing where when you get rid of radioactive waste, you have to make it so people will know inherently not to go there, even if like they can't know what, like, and if we're in the future, they have to make architecture that's so abrasive and scary that people won't need to go near it, even if they don't know what's there, right?
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like. I'm sending a picture now. It's what Aku looks like this.
Yeah.
Like when
Holy shit,
he gets sealed,
That's
he looks
exactly
just
Aku.
it can't be accidental, because like even when he gets sealed, he still looks like that, and I'm like, this has to be all. They have to have known about this, because he does give across that vibe of like, even when you see him, even when he's like doing a funny, goofy voice or appearance, there is always something unapproachable about his. Even when he's doing the extra thick bit, there's something unapproachable about him, and I'm like, man, like they were cooking.
They were.
Yeah,
Morgan.
Yeah,
I was just about to bring up what you were saying about flat. I have that in my notes. But what I have is that, like, it's impressive how Samurai Jack still works, even, like, in spite of how flat it is. How, if you look at some of, like, the contours on, like, the sword, or the contours in general, or the ground planes, they don't really match up. I think if I did boards like Samurai Jack does boards, I think some of my storyboard teachers that I've worked with would tell me, Chris, this looks a little flat. Or wait, that was my real name. Lava, this looks a little flat. You need to take this back and revise it a bit. It's like, okay. But with Samurai Jack, it just works. And it has, I think even the flatness makes the blocking much more readable and stronger too.
Like I like, for a show that like moves at such a fast rate, and sometimes we'll have like maybe 3 colors on the screen and like have similar shades of colors because of like the way they use flatness and a lot of like anti-storyboarding and art rules. Like everything reads well. It's truly a show that can only be made. It's truly only a show that could be made by someone like with a directing team like Genndy's team, who like know art so inherently deeply they can go, okay, what do we want to throw the fuck away rules wise? Like, I don't know, like trying to like I go, they don't do anything like this nowadays. I think there's a reason for it, because I think if I tried or most artists tried to get across what this show gets off as some of its planes, it would be awful. It'd be unreadable. It would look bad. It would have no emotion. It's crazy. The
modern version of this with like CGI animation is like trying to do that Spider-Verse style. It's not quite the same, but it's like, oh, we're taking one, like Samurai Jack is something where it's like it is a 3-dimensional, like the characters have volume, the characters are drawn anatomically, you know, they're well constructed characters, but it appears to be flat colors and everything, you know, and that's why it's like so visually striking. And then same thing with something like Spider-Verse and a lot of shows that are like trying to copy that style, is that they have something that's supposed to be 3D models, but they're making it look two-dimensional through like different shaders or whatever, like stylizing the rig. And that's kind of like the modern version of that. The problem is like a lot of modern action cartoons, especially like ones that call themselves quote unquote anime, you know, on like Netflix or whatever, like stuff like that. They have that anime style. They have this like kind of realistic style, but it's like that, you know, we talked about before, that like Young Justice, you know, like style. There's so many things that just like they either look like Young Justice or Legend of Korra. That's like the two styles that people go with. Oh man, it just
pick another show.
Yeah, just
pick a Gynax show.
Korra, and does not hold up. But anyway, the
flatness.
The flatness with Samurai Jack. Like I think it is like, I think for the most part, like with the boards, they are drawing him like as, you know, like as these characters with volume, and then it's just the digital, because this is a very digital animation show. Like compare this to Dexter's Lab, you know, the actual good seasons of it. Where it's all cell animation, and then like this is like just super digital, super like cutting edge, that kind of thing. And I think it's kind of his most stylish and most like interesting show, even though like I love Dexter's Lab, I love Symbionic Titan, you know, like Dexter's Lab is so stupid and chaotic that it's like it's a lot more funny.
It's Looney Tunes.
And then Symbionic Titan is way more grounded.
Yeah, Symbionic Titan is.
This is like in the middle though.
80s.
I also think.
Show.
I also think like having, as someone who's seen Primal fairly recently, because I was rewatching it for fun. Primal also has like a lot of depth in a way Samurai Jack doesn't. Yeah. And the thing is, though, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I think Primal looks great a lot of the time. I'm really into the look of it, but I think there's something about the like. I don't know what else to call it besides like deeply involved simplicity. If that's the only thing that comes to mind for Samurai Jack that I think makes the show work so well, because like it's so deeply involved, but also he's not doing shadows most of the time. There's no like shading, and when there is, it's noticeable and it feels great, but usually it's not. And I think there is something so deeply interesting and fun to watch and see about this show because of that. And like back to the action cartoon thing, I think the issue is that so many people want to make stuff that feels like anime. And I'm going to say something that's a little bit of a bummer. We don't got that money over here. Not to be mean, but it's like, look, I think if you're doing this really cool design and you want all the shots to look like 3D and like all like look like fully like in depth and have these designs and these proportions like that, I'm like, you gotta be real honest with yourself and your direction and animation team. What is going to be doable and what is going to look good? Yeah, let's be fucking real about this for a second. And I think that like Samurai Jack was built from the ground up in like hey, we're going to be having a deeply involved directing and fighting scenes every episode. Let's design characters in a way where we can deliver on that consistently.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works so well. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just saying that, like when you say like the deeply involved, it is like, they put so much effort into making it seem simple. Like that's kind of
exactly.
But actually, there's a ton of artistry and like. These people, because these are like some of the greatest storyboarders ever. Paul Rudish and Aaron Springer, who was board partners with Greenblatt on SpongeBob, made the funniest episodes. Like every single episode you can think of that's like the funniest episode of SpongeBob was Aaron Springer and Carl Greenblatt. Like those are the two people. Like the Krusty Krab training video episode. As like that's them. So like geniuses. Paul Rudish, genius. Look at the new, like he actually made Mickey Mouse funny. That's how good of a artist he is. That's
we also have what's the guy's name? Ooh, Robert Alvarez. He did a bunch
Yeah.
of the timing. He did timing directing and like action scenes for Codename Kids Next Door.
Mm.
Like there's like it's crazy the people on this show and the
Yeah.
pedigree of what they worked on.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
the timing.
Mark Andrews went on to like work for Pixar and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then like so many people. Not so much of the. Only a couple Chris Savino appearances.
Oh.
I'll say that.
and
you know.
Wyatt, come
Wyatt.
on. Our lawyers have told
0
us.
days
Our
without mentioning Chris Savino.
I'm erasing the board and drawing a big zero. Wyatt, our lawyers have told us multiple times
Yeah.
at cartoonsbuffoons.co we
Yeah.
cannot mention Chris Savino every episode.
But we didn't last time.
We were
so
doing so good.
we probably didn't last time. I can't remember. That was Time Squad, right? Yeah. So that was.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Chris
had a reason
Savino
to
drink a
bring-
game coming soon to
Yeah.
Cartoon Buffoons.
but he like that. Well, I was gonna say that like there were people that were on Dexter that aren't like Butch Hartman and what's his face Family Guy man Seth MacFarlane and Craig McCracken and stuff were on Dexter and then are not on things going forward. So like I feel like maybe that's kind of why like he was like, I'm gonna take Dexter and sort of format it into a more like just a super indulgent like actiony but
Yeah.
also like a weird art. It's just like more important than being an action show. It's just like an artist playground show. That's like
It
really
is.
what
It's
I
beautiful.
wanna put in as like the
Even-
ultimate thesis statement of this episode is that like Samurai
Even-
Jack is not just like balls out action. It is like
Beauty.
It's a
insane
cartoon.
weird shit too. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, down to like the cameos, I think the cameos of Samurai Jack are so silly. I think I'm trying to figure out which one I want to talk about first. Let's just say it. Jigen from fucking Lupin the Third is in this show. Let's just go with what it is. Just like, no, that's the thief. Motherfucker. That's Jigen. It's so bad, in fact, that they do a shot when he first shows up and it's just his silhouette. And like, that's just him. And like, oh no,
That's Jigen.
his hair color and suit's different colors. Fuck you. This is just him. And I'm like, it's so
Legally
great.
distinct Jigen.
Yeah.
It's so good. They're like this, like, hey, we should probably make Jack not wear his normal costume, because if we made him wear his normal costume, people would see him in this not Jigen and go, "Is that
yeah.
Goemon and Jigen?" No, it's not. It's no. They're legally distinct. Fuck you. Like, it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I also think like the El Kabong cameo
Yeah. I
out
was
of
gonna say, like,
nowhere.
all the Hanna-Barbera, like there's still a bunch of Hanna-Barbera DNA in it because of him being like a old school Hanna-Barbera guy.
Yeah.
It's great. But we do have to move on to what's important to talk about. Let's talk about this voice cast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, I rip Mako, one of the greatest actors of all time. I would listen to him and Phil Lamar play off each other for 2 hours.
Yes.
I would sit down and watch these two. When I tell you chemistry that is unmatched, chemistry that is... Whenever there's an episode of Aku and Jack just interacting, not fighting, it might be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Just like this.
it's so
Aku,
good.
it seems
I
like
can
you're
give
using
you a
super
ride
strength.
if you want.
And then, like, that's the thing. Like, Mako, so good. I remember when Avatar came out and being like, "Oh, it's Aku. He's the uncle guy." Like, as a kid watching it, like that was my
Point of reference, yeah.
Yeah, my point of reference. So it's like it's interesting now that people probably have it like backwards, where they're like, "Oh, they saw Avatar first and then are going and watching Samurai Jack and being like,
Why
oh,
is
it's-
Uncle so mean?
Yeah. But Phil Lamar is like, I mean, he is one of those 90s, early 2000s voice actors that's like literally, like he's like Tara Strong or Tom Kenny or whatever. Like he's in literally everything. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like truly this is his ultimate role. Like he will always be Jack. And we have discussed the like weird...
Race
like,
thing.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
an
No,
element to it.
The thing is though, right, is that like we've discussed it and we've talked to like people about it, and everyone or like they all go, yeah, but he fucking kills it. Like they just,
Yeah.
like they got it all. And I think it's so funny because there's many times in this show, even with Aku, in moments where he's like talking to like other Japanese characters, they're usually all voiced by Asian actors.
Yeah. Yes.
So it feels like the way that like a lot of dumb bigots go, we should just cast for who's best at the role. It feels like they did in this one case with Phil Lamar.
Yeah.
He's so good, and like I think truly like this performance and the range he has in the show, because he does a bunch of like just add-on voices in the show too. I think I wouldn't feel remiss for saying he's just the greatest voice actor of all time.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
definitely up there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't
We
like,
love you, Phil
and I
Lamar.
don't even I don't think it's like controversial to say.
Yeah.
Cuz he's everywhere, you're right, but he also doesn't give the same thing. It's not just like even just like he has multiple voices kind of way. His inflection, his performance, like
So different,
I watch
yeah.
Craig of the Creek every week and I forget
He's
I
Bernard.
fucking forget he's Bernard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's also Justice League. He's also Jon Stewart in Justice League. And then he's here, and I'm just like, I have never seen a voice actor not only with tons of range, but also tons of like just performance and acting ability. Whenever he has to give like a very painful, intense role or like performance in Samurai Jack, it's great. But
Yeah.
also his comedic timing and performance is great. Like I don't know, it's crazy. Like that someone could be this good at their craft. Like, and I think that's why Mako's so fun. I think that's also why The Scotsman with John DiMaggio is so good. Is that whenever you put Phil Lamar in a scene with one of these other voice actors as a character, he matches their energy without a hesitation. Like the Mongo episode is great because him and Kevin Michael Richardson are having a ball. Like,
Yeah. And I love
Everybody's
Kevin Michael
having a
Richardson.
blast on this show.
yeah, everyone's having so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
This is
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's a weird era where like I think in general now cartoons like they're casting people for their voice, you know, like and they have like an acting ability, but like they're casting them because like, oh, you have your voice, I want you to perform as this character, you know, whereas like at this point it was just Phil Lamar. You can do like 15 characters, right? Like you can do a whole bunch of characters. They're hiring Phil Lamar and Tara Strong and stuff because they are actors. They're professional actors. They can do a lot of voice. Maybe not Tara Strong. She can't do that many voices.
No, she has like 2.5, but yeah.
She's got like Timmy Turner, Ben 10, who might actually be the same voice or very similar.
It's do you want the Raven or do you want the Bubbles? Like,
yeah.
That's what
And then Twilight Sparkle is like in there in the middle, as far as like her just the normal speaking voice. But like, yeah, people like John DiMaggio, people like Kevin Michael Richardson, you know, I'm always so happy when they pop up because one, it makes me remember when cartoons were populated by these people and they all sounded the similar. Could always be like, oh yeah, Cree Summer's in this show, you know. I'm always talking about Cree Summer, but the you know, it's just like, yeah, nowadays it is just so much like, oh, we're hiring these people, we're hiring like podcasters, you know, or whatever, like to voice character. And I don't think that's bad. I'm not trying to say
It's Griffin McElroy again.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just like I want people who like this is their craft, you know? Like I think a celebrity gets every so often is fine, but I do want people where like this is their craft. Like I think that, like the thing though, this show also has like celebrity voice actors, but also when it come like when they had David Alan Grier as the samurai, that motherfucker went off. He was like, "Oh, hold on, do you want me to remind you all why I was one of the funniest?"
I'm gonna play a real piece
ever?
of shit.
I'm about to play the most annoying samurai you've ever met, and I'm like, yeah, he's eating this the fuck up. Okay, he's killing it. Like, I do think it's fine to have the celebrity guests, but like, there's like when you get someone who is a voice actor, their career is voice acting to do a role where they can like really just let go and perform. It's unbeatable. It's unbeatable, man.
Yeah.
Phil Lamar brings so much grace and warmth to Jack. And
so much.
Yeah, part of why it works is that he's not putting on an accent, for one. That's kind of like a baseline thing.
Yeah.
He is doing like Japanese pronunciations.
Yeah.
But there's just so much like grace and elegance to it. and he really like sells the character as like a real hero who's like really kind and he's polite. He's like if Paddington Bear had a sword.
Yeah, no, that's very like it's so real. Like I think some of the best episodes with the voice acting is when he was telling the story of Momotaro to the baby. I was like, this is really good. Like it I feel like I'm listening to like a guy who like is like, this is just a history I grew up with. This is stories I know, and I'm trying to calm down this child. Like
beautiful, you know.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's great. Like Jack feels so lived in as like a guy who like definitely grew up around the world, but is also Japanese. Side note, it's crazy he's Japanese. Like what I mean is like at this time limit, cartoons were doing the big hand wave vague Asian.
Yeah.
Jack is straight up Japanese and speaks Japanese. He only knows Japanese mythos. That's like his own. Like it's crazy that he's just actually Japanese and not just like
just like East Asian or whatever. Like
don't,
because a lot of times they will just kind of, you know, combine.
Conflate.
Yeah, exactly. Like China and Korea and Japan and like everything like as one big sort of monolith. So like and also like to go even just on the more baseline level of like a protagonist in a cartoon is a not white boy. like well I mean he is a male character but he's like he's an adult man. You know, he's Japanese.
And there's like not a lot of kids in this show either. Like he's mostly helping adults for the most part.
And like the kids that do show up are like I said in the fairy tale episode, they're like these cartoonish like Dexter's Lab style kids, which I love. Like I think that's hilarious. You know that it's like a different show. That episode actually reminds me a lot of the Wander Over Yonder episode. Like towards the end of the series where it's like a group of like alien like kids who are like refugees from, you know, Dominator destroying the galaxy, and they're like telling stories to each other about like these two heroes that are Wander and Sylvia, but they like all have different versions of it. Like one kid is like he tells a story about it that's like a Gigantor parody, and then like, you know, they just have like one is like a 90s like cereal mascot kind of parody and things like that. Like it's just like all these different, like I love those kind of things where it's like we get to see from the ground level the effect
what people
that this like rebellion or this like heroism is having like on like there's the regular children that are trying to like live their life or just get along and survive. That stuff is so good to me. Like it's just so good.
I think that stuff is really what is one of the things that make the world feel like really great and all the performance of. I also think that besides voice acting, this show has, and I know we did this with Courage and we did this with Ed and Eddie, so I'm not gonna say it has the best. This show continues the line of Cartoon Network shows of this era having the most identical sound effects and sound design you've ever seen in a cartoon. I can hear Jack cutting through a robot.
Yeah.
If I close my eyes, I can hear him cutting through a robot. I can hear him sheathing his sword. I can hear him walking. So vividly in my mind. Also, the clap of the sandals. It's just so specific. And not to mention the music. Oh my God. Every time there's an insert song or like just a song like in universe, I want to download it. I don't know if you guys saw the episode where there's the where Jack keeps getting attacked and he goes evil because he has to fight his evil shadow.
Yeah.
There's a song where there's just this alien woman with a flail dancing to it.
Yeah.
And it's like this very like disco like little beat going on, and I was scouring the internet for it to download.
Yeah. There is like a lot of that like sort of Y2K, like it feels very like set in that time period, you know, as far as like the sound,
the music,
and the music and everything. You know, the opening is like, you know, a hip hop song, and then
by will.i.am.
Yeah, and then which is awesome, by the way. Always have loved the fucking opening theme.
Yeah, William 8, he killed it with that.
Yeah, and then yeah, there's like he goes to like the rave dimension or whatever. Like at the, there's like a lot of
the
that
Eastern
kind of,
European village that has a rave, which is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was it's so good. I don't know. It's just so great. I feel like I came into the show like I haven't watched All of Samurai Jack in a while. I watched the revival. I hope the show's good. And let me just say, I listen, self-proclaimed hater. I'll own it, right? Nothing on earth beats going to a critically acclaimed show and being like, wait, this actually is just one of the best cartoons.
I get
of
it
all
now.
time. Yeah, I get. I'm fucking. I'm from always saying, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. Like,
that's what I love about doing this show.
Yes.
It's like getting to revisit these old cartoons, and I'm like, I'm not just an old man. They are this good. Like
yeah.
Dexter's Lab is that good. Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Ed and Eddie, Courage, all that good. There's some like episodes where we're like, that was fine. Like Sheep in the Big City or Time Squad or whatever. We're just like, yeah, that's fine. It's funny, but not.
But the ones that are lauded as like the best cartoons ever, listen, maybe those annoying people on Facebook are cooking a little bit. They're not. They're not actually. Don't. Believe
I don't
me on
think TMNT from the 80s is like that good. I think Rise of the TMNT actually is better.
Yes. Flying Bart.
So, I am excited for the new show based on Mutant Mayhem though.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna say
I think the last Buffoons episode that I watched that's on YouTube is the Ed, Ed and Eddie one. And in that one, you guys gave the gold star to Ed, Ed and Eddie. It's the best show that you've seen so far. Has that changed in the shows that you've watched since then?
Oh, no.
Fair enough.
Look. I love
Courage is high up
Courage.
there. This is high up there. Ed, Ed and Eddie is just such a specific of heel though. That it's like it might, I don't know if it could because Samurai Jack is like it's
great.
Very easy to watch any episode of Samurai Jack. Like I probably will watch more episodes now even after we're done recording this. So I think it has an amazing longevity. It also starts is immediately good. Like it is
Yeah.
Like right like I said, the first three-parter first of all, third part of the intro literally just a fight. It's just like a couple minutes of prepping for a fight and then 15 minutes of him just fucking up an army of robots.
Genndy knows
and
how
it
to direct a
fucking
long ass
ruled.
fight scene.
It ruled. Ruled.
So good.
But I look, I love Samurai Jack, truly one of the best cartoons of all time. I think that Ed and Eddie is not perfect, but pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
For what it's set out to do.
For sure. That will because I think overall, like I've said before, that my favorite Cartoon Network show is OKKO. But and that I think has so much about it that I love. And OKKO is very similar to it's similar to Dexter more so, but it is similar to Samurai Jack in the sense that it's it's ostensibly a show that is a goofy cartoon, but then it's but it's actually also both action is cool. It actually is a super cool show. And that was another thing that I want to mention is that Ian Jones Cordy brought up an idea that he was inspired by with the relationship between Dexter and the other shows that Genndy made, was that Dexter was such a good style atlas that every other show that Genndy made after Dexter was taking one part of it and adapting it into a full show.
Yeah,
I agree.
That makes
yes.
sense.
Yeah. So the more artistic sort of plays with silence, plays with these dramatic action and things like that. Those episodes and those parts of Dexter become Samurai Jack. The kaiju and mecha action that becomes Symbionic Titan. The pulpy sort of dinosaurs and whatever that kind of stuff that becomes Primal. That kind of action show, like just so self-indulgent and violent and everything like that. I do love Primal, so maybe we'll talk about that at some point.
Well, do you think anything will ever be Ed, Edd n Eddy though?
Dude, I don't know. Like, I truly don't know.
I don't
Especially
know.
not now, because Cartoon Network is kind of fucking spinning the drain at the moment. But
I like see the things. I gotta wait till we get to Craig.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Lord of Craig is my favorite cartoon of all time for a few years now. But Lord, I gotta see. I don't because Craig of the Creek does build off of all things I like about Ed, Edd n Eddy.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that could beat it, Craig of the Creek is up there. But I don't know. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
I do gotta say.
I'll let you go ahead,
ahead.
Morgan.
No, you go first. You go first.
I would be inclined to agree with you guys that Samurai Jack does not clear Ed, Edd n Eddy, unfortunately.
No, it does.
Though for me,
it's a battle.
Yeah.
But...
For me, like the one issue that I didn't really notice until my latest rewatch of Samurai Jack for this is I think there are parts of Samurai Jack that feel a little racial caricature-y, unfortunately.
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, it's nice that they want to have the show about this Renaissance man who's traveled all across the world and has been to all these cultures and experiences even newer cultures in the future. But it still feels like it's based on what the creators are imagining those cultures to be like,
Actually, yes.
rather than like an actual experience with them.
Yeah. Not to use Wikipedia here, but it literally does say like Frank Miller's Ronin was the inspiration. And it's like if you're being inspired by Frank Miller,
we're gonna have a little bit of this.
Yeah,
you know, like, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
And like I think I've always given Samurai Jack a little leeway compared to other stuff because it never feels like there's a few exceptions I can think of off the top of my head. It never feels like those are the jokes. It feels like that's like the vibe they know, which like I can always give a little bit pass. But I do agree that like there is a few like guys I don't know.
The idea of the show is Orientalist to an extent.
As hell.
The idea where it's like it's Samurai Jack. He's a badass. He's a samurai. He's a wandering warrior. You know, he's like a noble, honorable guy, and everything. And like I said, he doesn't. Here's the thing: cartoons for so long were so racist towards Asian people. It's like crazy if you go back to like 2000s cartoons, and you're like, this was okay. Like stuff that would be like if it were for any other race would be considered like, oh my god, was that from like the 1930s? Like that's how bad. It is like in the mid 2000s towards Asian people. Like even shows I love, like My Life as a Teenage Robot. There's like the episode where she goes to Japan. You know, it's like, oh my god, it's like very, very like horrific stereotypes
Jenny,
and
no.
like, caricatures and everything. And then let's again the show that we have decided to never do an episode of on Cartoon Network, Chop Sucky Chooks, is like, you know, you just look at that. So I think
Go ahead.
You know, like I don't blame. Like if anybody has reservations about the show for those reasons,
fair.
Obviously, I am not the person to like. That's gonna like stand in your way on that. You know.
Yeah.
I will say though that it does make sense to me that this show is like so good and is able to handle these ideas with enough tact that it is still like a beloved classic to this day. Whereas stuff like there are other stuff that do that. And people just like they're just like forgotten by time. Like nobody gives a shit. Yeah.
I think it's the like how much of a character Jack is that like lifts a lot of that weight off it.
Yeah.
I think it feels like ignorance compared to like hate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those old cartoons, I'm just like, this is just hateful. You guys are just hateful and evil.
You're just like, haha, aren't these weird different people funny? Like that's what it is.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah. I think that's like the key, like the difference. But I do agree, like, obviously, honestly, this could be like a thing we broadcast on the beginning of all the cartoons we'll be doing to 2010.
Like we get to Billy and Mandy, and we're like, all right, well, hold on. Like Maxwell Adams may be working through some stuff here.
I don't know. I've said it before. I think Billy and Mandy is a very interesting show about black people sometimes. I think the way he feels about black
Lamar
people
is in it.
Yeah.
You know, he's
all right, Phil Lamar is in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is Irwin's dad, but it's going to be interesting to talk about Irwin. I kind of do want to get like...
I'm going to whoop his ass, man, when I get in that fucking episode.
Man, I do want... Like, that's a thing, like, I didn't... Because, like, I just took... Because every fucking cartoon had a nerdy black sidekick. Like, at that time, like, fucking Danny Phantom and... I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying...
No. Yeah.
As an ignorant white boy, I took it at face value. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then, like, growing as an adult and being online, literally every black person I know has been like, I fucking hate Irwin.
Because, like, besides, like, he's not just, like, a nerdy black character. He's, like, an Uncle Tom who loves white women. That's, like, his whole
thing.
Oh, God, wow.
Like, listen, look.
Yeah,
we can have a black character.
Billy and Mandy
we'll get his Billy and Mandy. But, like, I think his whole thing would be like, I love white women. All right, we're going to have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Samurai Jack. One thing I'm surprised about with Samurai Jack, and it's funny because we did Sheep in the Big City. Man, these episodes don't feel 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I think Genndy Tartakovsky and his team might be the best pacers in the game. Full stop.
So
no episode of Samurai Jack felt like it was slogging, and that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Not a single episode was like checking runtime. I was like, damn, this is quick 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And even episodes I didn't think were like the best thing on earth, I'm like, this was a quick 20 minutes. They felt like they were filling this. Like, they felt like this thing was 20 minutes, not because they wanted to make a 20-minute cartoon, but because like this, we have to fit everything we want to do in, and 20 minutes is all the time they give us.
Yeah.
And it feels great the entire time watching it.
Yeah. I just can't, but it's just, man, I know Mike Lazo is not a good person. Probably. But, like,
You just did a call shot on Mike.
Him being in charge of Cartoon Network at this time, it's just like, what was he cooking? Like, how did he's a
sicko. He's a cartoon sicko, bro. He was like, oh, I want more.
Yeah.
Space Ghost, yes. More. Just screaming and throwing shit around his fucking his office.
Like, it's fucked up that the people who made Space Ghost are all like, you know, there's like Andy Merrow who's like an Amazon delivery driver now, and like,
hang in there, Andy.
You know, C. Martin Croker is fucking,
we love you.
Like, passed away. Like, you know, a lot of like unfortunate stuff. Like, he kind of left people in the dust, basically. You know, and like that sucks. But in like, just looking at this era, it's like, holy fuck, television used to be like real. Like, they used to like,
because remember, you sent him an idea and he'd be like, fuck it, like, you know, like, hey, can we do a show where we do stop motion dolls of shows like this? What is it called? Robot Chicken? I don't understand it. Fuck it, do it. I want to be an episode. I want to be an episode. Just screaming at you, throwing shit. Like, it's crazy. We don't have anyone who loves mediums. They just love money, and we need to get like, listen, if I got to deal with an amoral business executive or a person who's like picking what shows get made, at least let it be someone who's into what the fuck they're making. Yeah. Like, come on.
Who's actually made one of these shows. That isn't just like, you know, like, I'm not one of those people that blames every single thing that's wrong in the world on David Zaslav, but like...
Well, I am.
But like... It's just like shows you like, here's a person who just does not care at all about
none
the legacy of the thing that he inherited, you know. And it's like, I mean, it's the same fucking thing with Disney and like Muppets, you know. They just don't care, even though these things are like eternally classic masterpiece of his thing, and they still do not care.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I think the craziest thing to me is like, do they just go home, lay on money, and be miserable? Like, how the fuck do you not like anything? How, like, if I had, like, how do you have all this money, own all these stations, and you have no opinion on media whatsoever? Like, you have no opinion of what you want to be making at all? You just like, what will make money?
We're on 0 days since we ranted about capitalism.
Motherfucker, that one's never going to make it past one.
I think we can be fine with that.
Yeah, because I don't know. Is that it? Do you only live for money? If you only live for money, you should die now. I think that's it. I'm just gonna say it. If art means so little to you, fuck off and die. Like, it's just the worst. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's so sad now that it's like shows that would be like not groundbreaking, but like, oh my god, what an interesting show for the texture of this children's network, all the most interesting Cartoon Network stuff is just being pushed onto Adult Swim, which makes
Yeah.
Adult Swim better.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
But, like-
I'm glad that it's not just, like, Rick and Morty.
Family
or
Guy
whatever.
esque. Yeah. Like,
But like, fuck, stuff like Invincible Fight Girl doesn't need to be an adult show. My Adventures with Superman does not need to be an adult
No.
show. Like, those are, like, they are misplaced because people are going in with wrong expectations for them because they were never fucking designed
Yeah.
to be like shows for adults. They were designed to be children's shows.
They're for kids.
And they're
Like, I'm
put on
like-
the network
like-
because they're like, we don't want action shows, or we don't want like shows with different art styles. We only want like fucking Thomas the Tank Engine and garbage like that. Like, that's the only thing.
Like, it doesn't even surprise me anymore that I'm hearing about 13 to 14-year-olds like, oh yeah, I mostly just watch Adult Swim. Yeah, no shit.
'Cause you put all
Like,
your
there's-
cartoons
like,
there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, no shit. Like, talking to like my niece and like being like, yeah, she's like 13. It's like, yeah, I watch I'm watching these shows on Adult Swim. I'm like, that's a bummer. We should maybe make these in time slots
Prime
more
time.
approachable for children. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's just, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Samurai Jack before I start saying things that get me on a watch list about
Yeah.
CEOs.
Here's my segue. Every cartoon deserves to have the same treatment from studios and executives that Samurai Jack got.
I agree. I think there is something beautiful about Genndy being able to just, and I know this is like kind of like what's the word? Dismissive. I think it's something beautiful about the fact that Genndy can just come out every few years like, hey, I got this fucking weird, unapproachable idea. Can I make it a cartoon? And they let him.
Yeah.
I think there's something cool about that. But also, if we could just chip off a little bit of the Genndy grace
Yeah,
and just give it to
find
a few other
generations
creators.
Genndy,
Yeah, if we could just do it, like, hey, look, guys, I think Unicorn Warriors Eternal is a really cool, weird idea that I don't know who it's for. Could we give that little bit of weirdo grace to someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like 30. Like, let's give it to someone who's like not
yeah.
in their 40s or 50s.
Yeah. Like, and then it's even more depressing because it's like, why is he getting so many chances? And then like Craig McCracken, they're like, nope, not doing this. And it's like, he made so many cartoons, all of which are like beloved, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing that's like consistent about people that love Genndy Tartakovsky is that they don't like his cartoons.
Yeah.
Like Samurai Jack season 5,
Yeah.
people hated it by the end.
Not a
Fucking
fan.
Primal people hated it by the end. Like,
Amazing
not saying that they were
opening,
bad.
amazing first few episodes.
Yeah.
Not the best ending.
No,
Yeah.
it's no. Like I think like, and he has an issue landing it, but the issue is though when he's flipping in the air, he's winning Emmys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
Like,
thing.
that's why I
when
think
he's flipping in the
Samurai
air, he's
Jack-
winning Emmys.
Like, these episodes, it's like Futurama, where it's like, it's cool that it came back, did not need to come back.
Yeah.
Because it was good. First 4 seasons, great. Big thumbs up. Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And then
If they brought
just
back
like
Symbiotic Titan, it's like, what would they do with it? Would they just like go
Yeah.
to the
I don't
home
even
planet?
know.
The whole point was that they
Yeah,
were on
exact-
Earth.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that people, they would be like, we have one season to end things. So we're just gonna they're just gonna be like, all right, we've developed technology and we can go back to the planet. We're gonna beat the fucking bad guy.
Yeah,
And
it's just,
like,
but that would defeat
Okay,
the
it's
point
over.
of the show, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
because,
yeah, like,
yeah,
yeah,
because
like-
to me, like, what I like, if I wanted more seasons, one, I want like 2 or 3 more seasons in Symbiotic Titan. I would just want more, more development of like the characters.
The
and
characters
My
and
pitch
also
was
the
to like
weeks, yeah.
bring
The
the
teams.
aliens off of the alien planet, bring them to Earth, have them like resolve things there.
Yeah.
Because like
Especially because, like, season 1, we'll talk about it in the Symbiotic Titan episode, but season 1, it ended kind of like, not wrapping up, but like tying in a bow the arc between Octus and Kimberly.
Yeah.
And like the other 2 characters, they have like characters that they've been like teased with, like other romantic
The shipping.
partners or whatever. I know it's fucking Genndy, so we'll probably have Alana and Lance just get together by
they're
the
siblings.
end.
Don't
But
do
And
that.
no, they'll have sex and one of them will die. The Genndy Tartakovsky special. No, but like,
at
but
least
like,
the male died.
But
In
yeah.
Primal.
It's interesting
at
how,
least
like,
that
Equality.
was a
Symbiotic
twist.
Titan and Samurai Jack, they both have like diaspora as like a big theme.
Yeah,
Because like
Yeah.
they're
Like, no, like,
separated
I
from their
think-
home and
Yeah.
everything.
yeah, and then they're
Well,
trying to
I
fit
think that, like-
into a new society.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's because that's like an overarching thing with Gendy's work as like a Russian American.
Yeah, because he was an immigrant.
Like it's also in Dexter.
Yeah.
And it's also in Dexter. Like he said, that's why Dexter sounds the way he does.
Yeah.
But like I think that's like I think he cannot stick landings, and I think that's okay. Because like listen. Why? Ask me why I've been watching all these shows. What we've realized is that every last episode of every season of the cartoons we've been watching so far is a tail ending. It could work as a finale. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Genndy said, "Fuck that. No ending episode of Samurai Jack can work as it's like the ending for the show. He does not fucking care. He's like, I just want. This is just another episode.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he gives a shit about endings, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But
You're
I
allowed.
think the issue is that like people want endings, and I'm like, listen, some creatives are not made to end their work.
Yeah.
They're just made to stop making it.
Yeah, I appreciate a good full circle ending. Okay, here's a complaint that I have. So one of the most infamous cartoon endings of all time in modern history is Star versus the Forces of Evil. The creator of Star said that she wanted to end it with no ending, like essentially like end it, but at the same time another problem arises so it doesn't feel like things were resolved, because she hates endings that are like so perfectly wrapped up, like Harry Potter, like whatever, where it's like, oh, we cut to the future and we get to see what their children are like or whatever. And it's like, when I read that, I was like, I agree with her. Like, even though my favorite show, Gurren Lagann, literally ends with like a time skip and everything like that.
I love
like,
Gurren Lagann.
Yeah. I just don't like, in general, like, I don't need every fucking cartoon to have an ending where it's like, we get to see what all the kids look like when they're 20 or whatever, and we can see what their kids look like, and we get to like, and everything is okay, and blah blah blah. We have like a time skip and everything. Like, I think like Amphibia and Owl House both already being very similar shows, and then both having the same ending, like made me be like, what the fuck? Do something different.
Yeah.
like, no, but I think that's I think we've extravagated the issue a lot of people have with media, which is they cannot take ambiguity well. It has to be hard set. It has to be like a hardcore ending. And I just think that like the style of how Genndy makes shows in Samurai Jack, like I think a lot of people can't put their finger on what they don't like about the Samurai Jack ending. I think people, you know what? I'm not gonna get harder to the ending. So I'm gonna just talk about it here. I think people go, well, I think that like Ashi's like dying is too sad for the ending, and I'm like, no, I don't think you think that's true, because there's a lot of sad shit in Samurai Jack. I think the issue you guys have is, I think the issue that you have is that there's an ending. I think the idea, like, I think we could just have Jack go back to the past and end it. I don't need to see him beat Aku. I don't need to see him go back to his family. The adventure is beginning, but he's back in his time. That would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue you guys are making. Like, I can go on like this. Oh, it felt like a father-daughter relationship. I don't. All that shit does not matter. The core issue is that it feels an antithesis to what Samurai Jack felt like.
It's about adventure.
Because it's about adventure, and having it end on his wedding is so fucking against it. You know, like Jack is a dude traveling to get this done. I don't think anyone needs to see Jack settle down. He just like, hey, I'm back in the past. Let's take care of Aku, because maybe he's still doing stuff. Then let's just keep it going. And that's like what bothers me so much about it. Like,
I would say this Primal, I feel like is like, I don't think its ending is like bad. I think it's weird for sure.
It's weird as shit.
And like, again, I don't like the fact that they're like, in the future, he has a daughter and blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't need to do that. But like the actual final episode where it's like this Viking dude whose, son died, and he like made a fucking deal with Satan and became like a fire god, and like that being the final bad guy. And it's just like a quick, brutal fight. I love that. I think it should have ended with just like mutual destruction of
because that's like kind of the vibe.
I can kind of appreciate like that. I do think like, especially like the beginning of the episode where like they made it back to like Mira's village, and like he ends up like painting his life story on the wall, is like fucking amazing, like beautiful, great. I understand why they wanted to be like, oh, but his legacy continues, because it would be like almost too sad for him to like die there. But I think that's like the story of humanity, though, is that the Neanderthals died out, and it's sad. You know, like that's what makes them like interesting and sad creatures. Is it's like, what happened to them? Why did they die out? You know, and like, I don't know. That's just I think it's like not that far from being like an amazing or like at least really good ending. And there's just a few choices about it that people like don't and get hung up on. And in general, season 2 is like a step down from season 1 because it is like not as focused on like giant fucked up monsters. It is like human versus human conflict and things like that.
Yeah, but like I think like to what you said about like the ending like almost being there is that I think it's so strange for someone with such a strong style and ideas and story and narrative building that we keep doing the fucking Boruto ending, which is antithesis
the next
to like
generation.
what you do.
Yeah,
no, like I don't know, like I feel like if this was your style the whole time, whatever, you know, we saw it coming. But it always feels out of left field. I'm like, this isn't what you make. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, and like I think I don't know. Like watching all of Samurai Jack and then see here, it feels even more like it's out of order. Like the guy who decided to do a random episode of Primal where it's in the 1910s. And they're having a drinking episode, all drinking liquor, and a Neanderthal gets to their office somehow. That guy wants you to have a Boruto ending? Fuck off. Like, the guy who had a whole silent episode where, like, Jack is just, like, trying to calm down. He wants a Like, no. Like, listen, look. You're too weird about narrative structure for this to be the thing that you have wanted. I don't know. I'm not going to, like, say I know what the creative team wants, but, like, it's weird, and I don't know. Back to like the good things.
Yeah, I was gonna say like we can wrap it up. I think we.
Yeah, we can wrap it up. Yeah. Like we talked about Samurai Jack. We were open about like the things that like we didn't like or that we did. Truly, one of the greatest cartoons of all time. Though.
Yeah. Overall, even though we have our criticism of where it went or some elements that didn't age well, like I do think overall it is like an amazing, like it is a masterpiece. Like I could easily see people saying it's Genndy's greatest show. In a lot of ways it is. Yeah. You know, because like even though like I always love Symbionic Titan because I love giant robots and you know stuff like that, and like Dexter's Lab for very similar reasons, you know, and just because it was like there for me as a kid. But like this kind of is like you see like, oh, Dexter's Lab was it was just a breeding ground for this. This is the real deal. This is a real.
There's nothing else like
show.
It.
Yeah.
Like he was, like Dexter felt like him stretching, and this is what he was stretching for. Yeah. Like,
so absolutely love this show. Huge recommendation. Obviously.
Any final thoughts, Lava?
Yeah.
Not really. I love that Samurai Jack can be about anything. I love that it's about adventure.
It can. Yeah, it's about adventure.
Yeah. But all right. Thank you for joining us. I want to ask if you want to plug.
Yeah, where are you at?
Tell everybody where we can find you.
My full legal name is Lavapasta. You can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, on I'm calling it Twitter. Fuck you, Elon. You can find me.
We have never called it X, and we never will. So
I have been sort of on Tumblr every now and then. I'm sort of I'm 30 now, so I'm not on it as much.
That's like not because I'm 30, but that is almost exactly what happened to me, where like I was on Tumblr, and a lot of times like a show will come out or something like that, and I'll search it on Tumblr. Like this was back in like 2020 or whatever when I was still using it, and then I'll see all the like teenagers that are posting about it, and then I'll just feel so old. Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I just had like a really bad experience with that at one point, and I was like, I think I'm done with this. I think I'm not going on here anymore. Now I do it on Twitter, which is way worse, like so much fucking worse. Than that. So
is your Tumblr also Lavapasta?
Uh-oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you cut out.
Sorry, it says your Tumblr also Lavapasta.
Yeah, it is also Lavapasta.
Okay.
And I know Morgan hates it, but I am on Blue Sky as well.
Boo!
Yeah.
Boo! I'm joking. It's
I'm
fine.
not on this guy, but I don't never will be. But
Yeah.
Morgan, how about you? Where can we find you?
What's up, everybody? It's time for your favorite bit of the episode. It sucks. My name is Morgan. You can find me at Girl Next Vor on Tumblr, on co-host, and on the place where Hades lives, Blue Sky. I'm working on things. I'm setting post-based like charges around the website. I'm bringing it down to the fucking ground. I'm also on Twitter, and we all know how this bit goes, guys. This week, if you check the cap on all your Snapples, there will be one part of a secret code to find my Twitter. Use that, put it together, and find me over there. I post about art,
And your little
nonsense.
Orphan Annie decoder ring.
But yeah, get your little get the decoder in together. But yeah, I post about nonsense. I post art. I'm posting a lot of vampire art. I'm doing commissions right now on Tumblr and stuff. So see stuff over there.
Cool.
Yeah, you can find me in all these places where I'm just being awful. And I draw a lot too. Wyatt, where can we find you?
Oh, go on. Oh, first of all, if you're on the YouTube channel right now, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Maybe subscribe, because you get to get the episodes. If you aren't on the Patreon and you're listening to this on the free feed right now, at the time of the release of this, you can get our Evil Con Carne episode, which will be our next episode on Patreon. If you're on Patreon, thank you so much for donating at the $5 level. If you also get the show that I do with Cody, Doctors in Discuss, or Stephen's Kings, we go back and forth between those two things. Both extremely bad, but well, they're good. Cody, great co-host, obviously, but like the subject matter in like Stephen's Kings especially is like sometimes fucking garbage. Like it's like there's not that many good Stephen King adaptations out there. But at the $1 level, you get all of, and at the $5 level, but if you just want to donate at $1, you get Wow Cool Robot, which is a review of every single robot in existence. We've done like 90 episodes or something at this point, at the point of the release of this. So check that out. And just go on over to It's Only Magic on YouTube if you haven't checked that out. On my, I make videos and stuff about cartoons and reviews and retrospectives. And my Twitter is WazPRanger, WAZP Ranger. Yeah, go there.
Is that because of Waspinator or?
Yes.
Yeah. What if Waspinator was a Power Ranger?
Yeah. That's it. That's the. You figured it out, the secret code.
See.
Yeah.
I just think about what if Waspinator was like a sexy lady with huge tits.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm always thinking about it.
Oh, actually, Lava, I don't even know this. I've drawn that. I'm going to send this.
Okay, thank you.
There's I'm always thinking
Wait,
about
the Power Ranger or the sexy lady?
With huge tits.
The sexy lady.
Yeah, the sexy lady. Yeah. But okay. We're done with this episode. We're wrapping it up. Join us next time. We're not doing Billy and Mandy. We're doing that a little bit later just because of, for whatever reason.
You're going to have to wait.
But we're going to be talking we're talking about the first half of Grim and Evil Con Carne.
Yeah, Wyatt's the brain and I'm the stomach, so
yeah,
see you there.
Wait, I'm not the bear and then you're the...
That's too easy. You're hairy and like vaguely gay. I can't make you the bear. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night.
But all right.